So now let us look at this. Okay, follow carefully. This explanation is not there in the material. This is not required for your CFA. Okay, which one? The breakup between contribution, variable cost, and fixed cost. Variable cost and fixed cost alone is there. Contribution is not there. This is a management accounting. This is a costing concept which I am bringing here for better understanding. Okay. Now, but I'm sure you would have studied this in your BCom and all. Okay. What we are doing here, two companies are there. Okay. Price per unit 100, quantity 100, revenue is okay. Variable cost 40, 100, 4,000. Contribution is what? Revenue minus variable cost. Okay. Fixed cost 3,000. Profit is 3,000. What is this variable cost? Variable cost is something which will vary with the volume. Fixed cost will not vary up to certain volume. Fixed cost will also change beyond the capacity, but to one level, fixed cost will not change irrespective of your volume. Right? For example, now 5 people are sitting there, up to 10 people can sit here. My cost is same. But if I have 30 people, if I have 20 people, if I have 50 people, then this place into 5 times, this place into 6 times, fixed cost will increase. But beyond up to certain level, whether it is 100 units or whether it is 130 units or 140 units, fixed cost will not change. Right? Capacity utilization we are talking about. So your cost structure is more towards variable cost, or your cost structure is more towards fixed cost. That is something will depend. That is basically your operating leverage. Right? For example, let's say I am a hospital. Right? I am the chief doctor. Right? 2 doctors are there full time in the hospital only. But I also engage other doctors for the specialties. Now, there is a variation, right? I have resident doctors and I am having doctors on consulting basis. If I have resident doctor, what is the problem? I should have so many patients. Right? If I have in-house doctor, I have to pay monthly salary. I should have so many patients, then it makes sense. Right? But if I so resident doctors are there. Now this resident doctor, it makes sense for me to have the resident doctor only if I get so many patients. Right? Cost is fixed or variable? Fixed. Because I have to pay monthly. What will be the charges? Right? So only when I get so many patients, I will be able to recover this cost. Right? One factor. Now I do not have resident doctor. I am getting on consulting basis. If I will ask the patients to take appointments. If I get patient appointment, I will call this doctor. And I'll tell the doctor, number of patients you see, that into so much fees. Now what happens? There, if I get so many patients, what will happen? Variable cost will become very high. Rather, I can have a resident doctor. Are you able to understand the difference? Right now, what happens? Now, if you see in this case, my variable cost keeps varying with the volume. Okay, my variable cost is obviously will change with the volume. What is contribution? Contribution is that part of revenue which contributes towards recovery of fixed cost. The 6,000 is not profit. This is before fixed cost. You have to recover fixed cost only. Also, then only your profit comes into picture. Okay. Contribution, as I said, this term is not required for your CFA. But this is more a costing concept. As a finance student, you should also know this. Okay. We call this as cost volume profit analysis. This goes into detail, but here, for the limited purpose of discussion, I'm using this. Contribution is something that contributes towards fixed cost. Right? Higher the contribution, higher the contribution, higher the recovery of fixed cost, consequently more profit. Okay, now look at this. So company A, this is the information. Okay, variable cost is so much, revenue is so much. Okay, now what happens? Company A, company B, variable cost is high, fixed cost is low. Cost is high, fixed cost is low. Another example I can give to explain. Here I have advanced machine. Okay, so fixed cost is high, variable cost is low. Here I don't have advanced machine comparatively, right? Lesser grade of machine. So fixed cost is low, but variable cost is high. Right? So operating leverage, okay? Operating leverage basically will be high. I think I told variable cost, but okay, it should be fixed cost. Operating leverage is high, fixed cost is high means operating leverage is high. Very simple. Your fixed cost, if you have invested huge already, it is difficult to recover. So that means you are leveraging on an operating basis. So higher the fixed cost, higher the operating leverage. That is the idea. In the total cost, here it is also 7,000. Here also the total cost is 7,000. Okay, but here my recovery of fixed cost is little difficult. Here it is easier because fixed cost is same, 1,000 very less, right? Recovering fixed cost is not a big deal. Very simple. Let's say I've taken 5 branches. I've opened 5 departmental stores in 5 different places in the city. Right? I have to do so much of revenue at every branch to recover the fixed cost. Otherwise, if I have only one departmental store and put all the inventory in one place, it becomes easier. All right. So pros and cons are there. So higher the fixed cost, higher the operating leverage. Now look at this. What is happening? Here also my cost is 7,000. Here also my cost is 7,000. Right? But what is changing? Lower fixed cost, higher variable cost. 60 per unit, 40 per unit. 2 different companies. Okay. I have invested the capital required here is 20,000. Here also 20,000. Total cost here also it is 7,000. Here also it is 7,000. Operating leverage. Fixed cost divided by total cost. 3,000 divided by 7,000 is 43%. 1,000 divided by 7,000 is 14%. ROE is same. Why? Because profit is same. Okay. So now two different companies. Total cost is same, but operating leverage is different. One company has higher operating leverage. Another company has lower operating leverage. Profitability is same. ROE is same. Okay. Now we are identifying the risk of these two companies. Operating risk. Right? Operating, that means my business changes a little. Right? What is the impact on my profitability? Okay. So for example, increase in volume by 20%. What is increasing? Volume. Business is increasing by 20%. Right? So quantity is becoming 100 to 120. Price per unit is same. Variable cost per unit is also same. Variable cost is increasing. Why? Because quantity has increased. Right? So increase in volume by 20%. Revenue has gone up by 20%. Variable cost has also gone up by 20%. Fixed cost is changing. It is not changing. That is the nature of fixed cost. It will not change. Now what is the profit? 4,200. Here also quantity has changed. Same. But because your variable cost is high, your profit is lesser. Your fixed cost is remaining same. Because you have higher variable cost, with higher units, you are making lesser profit. Your contribution is very high here. That is resulting in quick recovery of fixed cost, and whatever is balance is remaining is going towards profit. Because operating leverage is high here, company A's operating leverage is high. Right? Operating leverage is high. Company A's initial operating leverage. So that is why the transformation in ROE has become 15 to 21% with increase in volume. Here also profit is increasing, but ROE is going up to how much? 19 only. From 15, it is becoming 19 only. From 15, it is becoming 21. Why? Because your variable cost is low. Your fixed cost is same. More activity is resulting in more recovery of fixed cost. Okay, more activity here is resulting in lesser recovery of fixed cost. Why? Because your variable cost is high. Because your operating leverage is lower, right? Increase in business is also lower. Able to understand? Now, tell me the impact of decrease in volume by 20% quickly for company A and company B. Work it out quickly. Do not take much time. Able to understand? Higher operating leverage, higher the fixed cost. Higher the ROE in good times. This example is there in the material without the breakup of this contribution. Different numbers. Where is the risk high? When the fixed cost is high, then we say the risk is high, or when the variable cost is high, then we say the risk is high. We say the business is risky when the fixed cost in the business is huge, or when the variable cost in the business is huge. Variable cost is higher. I am starting an aggregator business like Ola, Uber. What is my investment? Technology and marketing. That's all. Any other fixed cost? No. That is in technology only, no? Right? Now, I am buying 1,000 cars and starting a rental company. Where is the risk high? Where your fixed cost is high. Okay, no. Higher the risk, higher the return, or lower the return? Higher the return. Higher the risk, higher the loss, or lower the loss? Higher the loss. So very simple. Higher the fixed cost means higher the risk. Means in good times you'll make more money. In bad times you lose more. So you will see the same impact here also when there is a decrease in volume. This example we are working out for you to understand the impact of variable cost, fixed cost. Okay, you will not be required to work so much in the exam. But yes, more or less, I think this formula will apply: fixed cost by total cost. Fixed cost plus variable cost is equal to total cost. Then what is the profit for company A when the volume decreases by 20%? Let us see. Okay. And for company B, right? ROE, company A. Hmm? 9% and 11%. Check if you got this. Okay. So you see now volume decreased by 20%. Company A's ROE has gone down higher compared to company B's ROE. Right? So from 15, it has come down to 9, and from 15, it has come down to 11. So when the volume went up, 15 became 21. When the volume came down, 15 became 9. Able to understand? So higher the fixed cost, higher the fixed cost means higher the risk. That also we can understand. High is the risk of recovering that fixed cost. If I don't have proper sales, how will I be able to recover the fixed cost? Because if I don't have proper sales, I will not have proper variable cost also, corresponding variable cost also. But you already have fixed cost, which is not dependent on your sales. You have to recover that. So only when you do sales, you'll be able to recover it. So higher the fixed cost, higher is the risk, higher is the operating leverage, higher the ROE in good times, lower the ROE in bad times on a comparable basis. So operating leverage is a good measure to check the stability of profits. So when I am looking to lend or when I am looking to invest, I can look at operating leverage also. It is a good measure to check the stability of profits, meaning to say, if today your business is doing good, tomorrow if the volumes come down, what will be the impact on profits? Right? Higher the OL, higher the impact on profits for a given change in revenue. That is what you have seen so far. Able to understand? Right? So this is about your operating leverage, which is used, right? From risk perspective, firm with lower operating leverage are preferred. If I'm risk-seeking investor, right, I may put my money in a company whose operating leverage is high. Right? Higher the operating leverage, higher the impact on profit, same thing. As fixed cost remains same, the incremental income goes towards more profits than to variable cost and vice versa. Able to understand this? Okay, operating leverage, basically one of the factors for the investors to go with debt or to go with equity, or which type of company to go, where the operating leverage is high or where the operating leverage is low. Nothing is right or wrong. From risk perspective, I'll prefer with firm with lower operating leverage are preferred for the lower risk and higher operating leverage for the higher risk. Okay, clear?